We at the Trump EPA have now cut over $29 billion worth of grants.
Disastrous floods from the remnants of Typhoon Halong have left one person dead in the state of Alaska. 51 people and 2 dogs were also rescued after devastating floods swept through some of the coastal villages on the western part of the state, just off of the Bering Sea. 10 feet of water rose in about 4 hours at Kipnuk River on Sunday, and you can see all of the damage caused by these record-setting floods in this drone footage. Man, there were homes that were picked up and were floating down the river and just not where they belong.
Another day, another real-life example of the dire decisions made by this incompetent administration. You see, these are images from Alaska's native village of Kipnuk, almost completely underwater. And the kicker, the Trump administration cancelled a $20 million federal flood protection grant back in May. Now, full transparency, would this package have helped prevent this? No, it would not have went into effect until next year, but the point remains, which I'll get to. You see, the city of Kipnuk in Alaska was hit by a devastating storm this week with 1 person reported dead and over 1,000 displaced. Now, the Biden administration had awarded Kipnuk a $20 million grant under its Community Change Grants program for flood protection. It was tied to environmental justice priorities. After Trump came in, well, the EPA, led by Administrator Lee Zeldin, canceled it in May of 2025 as part of rescinding over 600 similar awards deemed, quote, wasteful DEI and environmental justice. The $20 million EPA grant was for riverbank stabilization in Kipnuk to counter erosion from thawing permafrost, which amplifies flood vulnerability.
Reality became something unimaginable. Homes turned to boats, just drifting through raging water as families held on, hoping to survive.
Tonight, Joe Allgood reports that their accounts reveal the chaos and the fear and the fragile moments that separated life from tragedy.
It happened so quick. When I first saw them, my stomach got really tight because it didn't look real.
Speaking with Kipnuk resident Tristan Carl on the phone, he described the moment he saw his cousin and nephew floating away while standing in the doorway of their home, carried by the floodwaters of Typhoon Halong.
I was really shocked, and seeing them for a few seconds or so, and then they started drifting away. And my uncle was trying to jump out of our stairs to save his son, but I had to take him by the shoulder and I told him, no, it's not too safe.
Due to a weak Starlink connection, Carl was not able to share video, so what you're seeing are similar experiences of other residents. Carl himself was at home with 12 other family members, winds whipping outside, when the building shifted.
Everybody started shouting and screaming, but I was trying to stay composed and just to keep aware where we were at, but it was too dark until I started recognizing some buildings, and our house actually floated.
After it settled down near their church, Carl was thankful they didn't float too far, but others were not so fortunate, floating as far as 4 or 5 bends upriver. Fortunately, everyone in Kipnuk is accounted for, but recovery is far from over.
Right now is trying to get enough for food and water, and for the response team, for local response team, and was trying to get some radio, some sort of a communication so we can keep communicating with them.
Joe Allgood, Alaska's news source.
Now, as I said, right, because we like to lead with the truth here, the project timeline spanned years for planning and construction starting post-cancellation in May. So there is no way it could have prevented the October typhoon's storm surge, but it still remains. Why are we getting rid of funding to help stabilize homes in vulnerable areas under the guise of dismantling DEI? I mean, is there not going to be any more floods in the future? Especially when you consider the fact that we have no problem shelling out billions to bail out a foreign country like the Trump administration is doing with Argentina.
Argentina rescue package, America first. And is this rescue package meant to help President Milei's party in the coming election?
No, it's helped. It's really meant to help a good financial philosophy where Argentina can, after 20 years of disaster, because it was very successful at one point, and it can be again, like Venezuela. Venezuela was very, very successful, and now it's a dictatorship. When we can help our neighbors, we're making.
Hey, it's Ranking Member Angie Craig here, and we just heard that Republicans are actually, Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, just said that actually they may give $40 billion to Argentina instead of the original $20 billion of taxpayer money that they proposed. This is such a slap in the face to America's family farmers who are hurting like crazy right now because of Trump's trade war. Soybean farmers in particular have lost all of their business. China has taken that business to Brazil and guess where? Argentina. So Donald Trump and Republicans are literally bailing out our competitors and leaving family farmers in the dust. It's egregious.
What happened to America First? Last I checked, Alaska was in America, and stabilizing a city that will face flooding again in the future seems like something an America First administration would focus on. But of course they won't, because this isn't just a single bad decision. It's a part of a broader rollback. Lee Zeldin has canceled over 400 grants totaling about $1.7 billion that were earmarked for DEI and environmental justice programs. He's also scrapped contracts tied to DEI initiatives. Again, to the MAGA contingent, these cuts matter not because DEI is just a buzzword, regardless of the fact that these programs are essential in strengthening infrastructure for vulnerable communities like the one we are seeing here in Alaska. They fund everything from community flood mapping, storm resilience plans, riverbank stabilization in climate-threatened regions. Plus, the administration is not just cancelling grants, it's restructuring the entire department. Over 450 staffers in environmental justice and DEI roles are being fired or reassigned, which I then continue to point out. The weather is only going to get worse. So while the blue check keyboard warriors will claim this grant would have done nothing to prevent this deadly storm ravaging the community, wouldn't a party that ran on the entire idea that they are America First want to help rebuild that community and stabilize them for the future? I mean, what's stopping the Trump administration reinstating the grant for the future? Or even, I don't know, sending some more of the troops that they have facing off with inflatable frogs in Portland to help Alaska?
That's not who we are. That's not our idea of America. We don't want masked, folks with rifles and machine guns patrolling our streets.
Yeah.
We want cops on the beat who know the local neighborhood and the kids around. And that's how we keep the peace around here. We don't want, kangaroo courts and trumped up charges. That's what happens in other places that we used to scold for doing that. We want like our court system and our Justice Department and our prosecutors to be, and our FBI to be just playing things straight and looking at the facts and not meddling in politics the way we've seen lately.
But they won't, right? We know this. And that's why the tide is turning, even in states like Alaska that overwhelmingly voted for Trump in the past.
Tuesday night saw Mayor David Cruz, as he said, concede his race to the challenger, Mindy O'Neill, who was leading by 280 votes with all precincts reporting.
Up to 1,450 ballots, both absentee and question ballots, remain to be counted, although both candidates were skeptical that results would shift. However, the city clerk says that a concession would not impact the result of the election if Cruz should ultimately make up that deficit and pull ahead. If that is the case, he would be elected to a second term. Alaska's news source did catch up with both candidates last night for their reactions.
I am so pleased that the message that we ran with resonated with the residents of Fairbanks.
Just take a look at the recent mayoral race that saw a Democrat overcome the Republican incumbent for the first time in a decade.
Unofficial election results show Mindy O'Neill leading over 1,800 votes. David Hughes follows more than 1,500 and conceded Tuesday night. Your Alaska Link sat down with Mindy O'Neill, the new mayor of Fairbanks. She says the moment still hasn't sunk in.
I was back and forth between a state of shock, disbelief, and then like, heck yeah, of course I am. So let's do this.
She thanked her supporters and campaign team for helping make it happen.
I was surrounded by some of my best friends, my family, the community. I had an incredible team surrounded me and the campaign volunteers and staff.
One of her first priorities as mayor is addressing the city's homelessness crisis.
Our neighbors that I am willing and ready to work together with other organizations, better facilitation and how we reach out.
O'Neill wants to breathe new life into downtown Fairbanks.
And I'm very excited to bring some new energy into our downtown area, which is really the heartthrob of our city.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.